7 years ago, my ex-girlfriend, Bella Vance, left me at the altar to run off with her childhood sweetheart, Preston Reed. 7 years later, she stormed into my cousin's wedding with a child in tow, pointed a finger in my face, and screamed, "Caleb Hayes, you bastard. No, wait, I should call you Liam Sterling. You can't marry her. 7 years ago, you abandoned your wife and child to marry into money, and now that you're back with your wealthy family, you refuse to acknowledge us and are marrying someone else. Are you even a man?" The influencer she'd brought along eagerly went live. "Hey fam, you gotta see this. We're crashing a wedding to tear down a deadbeat dad live. Except I wasn't Liam Sterling, and I wasn't a groom. My cousin Liam, the actual groom, stood there with his jaw on the floor. His bride's eyes were wide with the thrill of getting front row seats to some prime drama. I felt a muscle in my jaw twitch. I handed the gift registry list to my cousin and waved over my uncle's executive assistant. "Get security and the bodyguards in here to maintain order," I instructed him. "And call the police. I want to press charges against this woman for public disturbance." The venue fell silent. The MC's brain must have short-circuited. He just stood there holding the microphone, speechless. He'd probably never seen anything like this in his entire career. The bride and groom were watching the show, and a guest who was just dropping off a gift was being mistaken for the groom and publicly shamed by his ex-girlfriend and her daughter on a live stream. You couldn't even write this stuff for a TikTok skit. Bella, who still had some sense left, finally realized I wasn't the groom. The ferocious look on her face softened. "Liam Sterling, what is the meaning of this?" My cousin flinched, trying so hard not to laugh it was painful. He even took his bride's hand and theatrically stepped back to give us the stage. His expression screamed, "You're so screwed, bro," reveling in the chaos. This was his wedding. Was the gossip really worth all this? Really? I ground my back molars and said flatly, "I'm not Liam Sterling, and I'm no heir to some fortune. The money from my college tuition came from scholarships and part-time jobs. You know that better than anyone," I continued. "Ms. Vance, if you're looking for a payday, you've targeted the wrong person. My parents just own a popular barbecue joint, and maybe 100 rental units and 3 commercial buildings downtown. If they aren't smoking brisket, they're collecting rent. We're comfortable, but we're not high society." Bella stared at me in disbelief, her composure shattering. "You're not Liam Sterling, the sole heir to the Sterling family fortune. Then why did the Sterling family release a photo of you when they announced their son had been found? Liam, do you really think I'm an idiot?" Liam Sterling himself finally burst out laughing. The guests joined in, thoroughly entertained. The only one not having a good time was Bella's influencer, who looked like she'd just swallowed a bug. I raised an eyebrow and nodded calmly. "It's true. I'm not the sole heir of the Sterling family. I'm his cousin." My uncle's assistant handed me a pair of smart glasses. I put them on and immediately saw the live chat feed scrolling furiously. So, who's telling the truth? This Caleb guy looks pretty average. The real Sterling heir is loaded. His dad has controlling interest in the entire Sterling Corporation. The gold on the bride is worth millions. And that's just what they're letting us see. It's probably way more. Came for the deadbeat takedown. Stayed for the gold digger, trying to blackmail her ex after thinking he struck it rich. I looked up, my gaze falling back on Bella and her daughter. A sarcastic smile touched my lips. "Are you sure that your daughter is my child?" I asked. Medical science hasn't advanced to the point where you can get pregnant from holding hands. Does Preston Reed know you're running around town trying to find a daddy for your daughter? Does he know you think I hit the jackpot and you're trying to crawl your way back into my life? Bella's face turned ugly. She glared at me, then quickly composed herself. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice strained. "We're filming a social experiment for a reality show. The child isn't yours. You never abandoned anyone for money, and everything I said was part of a script." The laughter in the room grew louder. My cousin was doubled over, clinging to his bride for support. He was a menace. I felt my patience wearing thin. A simple sorry is supposed to fix this? I snapped. "I'm just a guy running an errand for a friend. You ruined someone else's wedding. Apologizing to me is useless." Liam, now officially called out, cleared his throat and managed to stifle his laughter. He put on a serious face. "Ma'am, this wedding cost me $10 million, he said. "Your apology isn't quite worth that much. I won't ask for the full amount. Just $6 million. $5 million is too hard to split with my wife." The guests roared with laughter. Bella's face was a mixture of pale and flushed. "That's robbery," she shrieked. "If I had $6 million, I wouldn't be doing this stupid social experiment." Liam nodded and smiled. "You're not doing a social experiment. You're trying to emotionally blackmail this." He pointed at me, then broke into a gleeful laugh. "This kind, hard-working errand boy. Bella refused to accept his version of events. Who's blackmailing him? She shot back, furious. We dated, and we broke up amicably. I heard he's drowning in payday loans. Why would I be crazy enough to blackmail him? Her self-righteous attitude was so astounding I had to laugh. Amicably? I sneered. You call it amicable when Preston Reed and his goons crashed our wedding ceremony, and you two stood there together, humiliating me and saying I wasn't even fit to shine your shoes. You stormed in here today for one reason, to blackmail me for money, and you dragged your and Preston's daughter into it. The guests were practically buzzing with excitement now. My cousin, still clinging to his bride, was practically howling with laughter and stage whispered loud enough for me to hear. Dude, I was at that first wedding too. The look on this Bella chick's face back then was priceless. Made the food taste even better. I looked up at the ceiling, telling myself over and over that my uncle only had one son, and I couldn't kill him. My cousin, Liam Sterling, was indeed the sole heir to the Sterling family fortune. And the head of the Sterling family was my maternal uncle. Liam's backstory was something straight out of soap opera. My aunt's sister-in-law was secretly in love with my uncle. Jealous of the love he showed my aunt, she stole Liam after he was born and sold him to human traffickers, intending to replace him with her own child. But my aunt had a hawk's eye. The moment they placed the other baby in her arms, she called the police and demanded a DNA test. The sister-in-law was arrested, but Liam had already been taken out of the country by the buyers. At the time, they only knew that two couples had left the country with a baby that day. One French, one American. Americans were known for adopting children from overseas, so everyone assumed Liam was in the U.S. My uncle immediately contacted relatives there and spared no expense in the search. I was given a heavy responsibility, too. After graduating from college, I had to go abroad for my master's. It didn't matter what I learned. What mattered was finding my cousin. To get a government-sponsored scholarship, I spent my college years obsessively boosting my GPA, studying for the GREs, and honing my skills in my major. To no one's surprise, I got the scholarship. My classmates saw me in flip-flops, baggy shorts, and a t-shirt, occasionally sipping on iced tea my mom brewed, and always asking for a discount at the cafeteria. They all thought I was dirt poor. I did work a few jobs, but the businesses were owned by my parents. I was just there to check the books or help collect rent. Bella Vance was convinced I was poor enough to need a sugar mama. Starting in our sophomore year, she chased after me relentlessly, asking me to be her boyfriend. I knew I had to go abroad, so I kept turning her down. The fact that she pursued me despite my apparent poverty made me think her feelings might actually be genuine. But I knew I would only have to let her down. I was so young and naive. I had no idea that my poverty was just her key to social media fame. Bella Vance was running an account themed around being a wealthy girl with a diamond in the rough boyfriend. I was her poor, uncultured boyfriend. Every time she bought me something, she would post a photo carousel about it, writing up her thoughts on my makeover to gain followers. I was completely oblivious to all this. My life a simple triangle between the library, the classroom, and the dining hall. After graduation, my scholarship application was rejected, but my cousin was found. My aunt, once bitten twice shy, didn't publicly announce Liam's return. The person who brought him back was a legendary figure on our campus, Serafina Monroe, the heiress of the powerful Monroe family from Newport Beach. Liam had ended up in a French orphanage and was adopted by her aunt. When she found out I was desperately trying to get a scholarship to go abroad to find my cousin, she used her overseas connections to help, a look of profound pity on her face. At that time, Bella had already decided to move back to Newport Beach, but hadn't told me or broken up with me. The day after she saw me having dinner with Serafina, she orchestrated a grand, romantic public proposal. I turned her down. How could we get married when we weren't even officially dating? The only time we'd ever even held hands was at a track meet when she fell in front of me, and I helped her up. But thanks to that one touch and Bella's relentless self-promotion, our entire department thought we were a couple. My parents, hearing about the proposal, were ecstatic and eagerly awaited a visit from their future daughter-in-law. Ignoring my refusal, Bella hired a professional team to plan a wedding. She paid for the entire reception herself. The only condition was that I had to be there. I thought I was just going for a free meal, so I showed up my usual flip-flops, baggy shorts, and a t-shirt. At the ceremony, her childhood sweetheart, Preston Reed, burst in with bodyguards and humiliated me in every way imaginable. Bella turned on me instantly, mocking me, a toad lusting after a swan. Dressed in her wedding gown, she leaned against Preston, looking at me like I was a stray dog. "Caleb Hayes," she said with a dismissive, arrogant sneer, "I never loved you. Dating you is just for content to build my diamond in the rough brand. Thanks for your 3 years of service. You've made me a huge influencer with millions of followers. You're not just broke, you're cheap. You don't deserve me." After delivering her speech, she took Preston's hand and sauntered away. My parents and relatives happily stayed for the reception. They even thoughtfully called the police for me, reporting that I'd been scammed by a con woman. Emotionally, at least. I hadn't lost any money. In fact, I profited. For a whole year, I was the running joke of the entire precinct. It didn't help that my family owned the 13 storefronts next to the police station, and I was often over there doing maintenance. Every time a cop saw me, they'd ask, "Hey kid, haven't been scammed lately, have you?" Young, scammed, and socially dead. No one understood my pain. And now, 7 years later, here it was again. What sin did I commit to deserve this? Half the guests at today's wedding reception had also been at the reception 7 years ago where I got scammed, and at my own wedding 4 years ago. But I never imagined this. I never thought my aunt would use my photo to announce that the Sterling family had found their heir, all to protect my cousin's privacy. And I certainly never thought it would attract Bella Vance. I especially didn't think Bella would be so shameless as to fly all the way from Newport Beach to Austin just to twist the truth. Luckily, that drama-loving cousin of mine had recorded the entire fiasco of that first wedding in high definition. Before I got married, he would pull out every Thanksgiving and watch it like it was a holiday classic. The viewers in the live stream were stunned. The chat was a solid wall of text. Is this woman seriously okay in the head? She's an old-school influencer. She's been canceled on like 3 different platforms. How is she trying to start over again? This is a human thought process? Are we sure she's not an alien? Bringing the daughter she had with her husband to blackmail her ex-boyfriend. That's a special kind of talent. Is it just me? Or does the errand boy not look like he's drowning in payday loans? It's a wedding. You can't expect him to show up in a delivery uniform. That would be so tacky. I almost laughed. The influencer working with Bella was already in a panic, hastily ending the stream and posting an apology. My cousin just grinned, holding his bride's hand. If apologies solved everything, what would we need cops for? The police arrived quickly. Bella refused to pay any compensation, but the influencer she hired was willing to settle. My cousin didn't give her a hard time. After she transferred $600,000, he signed a settlement agreement. Bella, furious and resentful, turned her anger back on me. "Caleb Hayes, are you just going to stand there and watch them bully me? We dated for 3 years. I let out a short, cold laugh. I'm watching through my smart glasses, actually. And do you have any proof we ever dated? You've only ever admitted to being Preston Reed's girlfriend. You said I was just a tool for you to make money because I was poor and pathetic enough. Ms. Vance, you can't have your cake and eat it too." Bella's eyes widened and the color drained from her face. The gossip-hungry guests started to get rowdy. "Hey, buddy, tell us the story between you two," one shouted. My cousin, his arm around his bride, chimed in with a grin. "Yeah, tell us. And while you're at it, tell us the love story between you and your wife. She was a legend at your university, too, right? I heard some guy followed her all the way from Newport Beach to Austin for her. I shot him a death glare. As soon as we left, I was calling my uncle and telling him to retire early so this backstabbing little punk could be worked to death. My wife, Serafina Monroe, is the heiress of the Monroe family of Newport Beach. An only child, a billionaire heiress from birth. Bella Vance and her childhood sweetheart, Preston Reed, were also from Newport Beach. In fact, Preston's father was a senior executive at Monroe Corp. And the guy who followed Serafina from Newport Beach to Austin, that was Preston. While Bella was chasing me, Serafina, who wasn't my wife yet, watched from the sidelines. She gave me money and warned me not to get any more handsome. I had to report my daily schedule to her. It was easy money and a lot of it, so I couldn't refuse. She gave me way too much. My mom gave me $2,000 a month for living expenses and not a dime during school breaks. If I wanted spending money, I had to earn it myself. Serafina transferred me $200,000 a month. That included holidays. During the 3 years Bella pursued me, I earned enough from Serafina to fund my own startup. My mom said my relationship with Bella was a mutual attraction between 2 sources of money. I was speechless. For years after Bella dumped me, Serafina came to Austin for my cousin's birthday. Knowing I get dizzy after 1 drink, she tricked me into having some wine, and the next day, she dragged me to the courthouse to get a marriage license. Overnight, I became the son-in-law of the Monroe family. We had 3 wedding receptions, one in Miami, one in Austin, and one in Newport Beach. My wife bought the rights to all the photos, so you can't find a single one of us online. Our son just turned 2 this year. You married? Bella's composure broke again, her eyes filled with shock and fury. How could you get married? Serafina Monroe is the Monroe heiress. There's no way she'd fall for a two-timing loser like you. My cousin couldn't hold it in any longer and bent over laughing. His bride was practically trembling with laughter in his arms. The guests erupted. Even the police officers who had responded to the call couldn't help but crack a smile. I sighed in resignation. What could I do? The story of me getting dumped at my own wedding was legendary at the local precinct, and my aunt had used it as a cautionary tale to educate my newly returned cousin. My cousin even used the video of me getting dumped to bond with his girlfriend when he was in grad school. Who could I possibly complain to? The person Serafina Monroe married was you. Preston Reed suddenly appeared out of nowhere, looking just as devastated. What does she see in you? Your poverty? Your stupidity? There's so many brilliant young men at Southern Methodist, so many heirs in Newport Beach. What makes you so special? Could I tell him I didn't know either? My wife isn't just beautiful. She's a force of nature, decisive and relentless. The marriage was entirely her idea. The morning we got our license, she just asked me one question. Did I like Bella Vance? I shook my head without hesitation. I had always rejected Bella's advances and never accepted any of her gifts. She would always take them back right after taking pictures. The only reason I didn't call her out was because of the salary Serafina was paying me. Seeing my silence, Preston thought he'd uncovered the truth about my marriage. The Monroe family is at the top of the food chain in Newport Beach, he sneered. The only reason she'd look at you is because a scheming loser like you trapped her with some dirty trick. Clap, clap, clap. The sound of sharp, rhythmic applause cut through the air. I instinctively turned toward the sound. My wife, dressed in a custom-tailored lotus pink suit, was making a grand entrance flanked by 6 bodyguards. A huge smile spread across my face without me even realizing it, and I hurried to meet her. Honey, she took my hand and turned to the lawyer beside her. Mr. Yao, prepare a lawsuit against this. She paused, as if struggling to recall his name, then added slowly, Mr. Reed. The color drained from Preston Reed's face. Bella glared daggers, while my ridiculous cousin and his wife just burst out laughing. What could be more humiliating than seeing your goddess 7 years after graduation, only for her not to remember your name? If there was something, it was your goddess immediately having her lawyer sue you. I felt a strange sense of satisfaction. I squeezed my wife's hand and whispered, I thought your flight was delayed. Did you get anything to eat? You know your stomach hurts if you miss a meal. My wife smiled at me, her voice soft. I ate on the way. Liam is getting married. I'm his cousin-in-law and his cousin. I wouldn't want them to worry on such an important day. I glanced at the drama-loving duo and rolled my eyes. The only thing they were worried about was whether the drama Bella brought was juicy enough to serve as a cautionary tale for the next generation. As if on cue, that idiot cousin of mine turned his fire on Preston. Are you this Miss Vance's husband? She came here to ruin my wedding, and you look like you knew about it. Now that you're here, let's talk compensation. The officers are hungry and want to get off their shift, and my relatives are waiting for the reception to start. I led my wife back on a stage, lifted my chin slightly, and studied the couple, silently comparing them. A life without money is a cruel butcher. Only 7 years out of college, not even 30, and Preston looked like he was 40, a deep weariness etched into his entire being. Bella had lost her former arrogance as well. The day she dumped me, she went back to Newport Beach with Preston, riding the wave of the pathetic broke boyfriend social media account she'd built off my pictures. Her fame lasted 2 months. After I posted the video of the wedding, her career crashed and burned. Preston's father was also fired from Monroe Corp. They never actually got married. Bella had been raising the child on her own. My wife mentioned them occasionally, but I had long since stopped caring. Preston shot a hateful, cold look at Bella, then forced a dry smile at my cousin. $6 million is too much. The most we can offer is $1 million. Just as my cousin was about to agree, my uncle's executive assistant rushed over and whispered to me, the live stream from earlier is trending. The influencer that woman hired has over 5 million followers. Even though the stream was short, Miss Vance promoted it beforehand, promising to expose a scumbag. I frowned instinctively and turned to my wife. Should we have the platform delete the trending topic, or just push it down? My wife's family had immense power. My own company was just starting to take off, and they wouldn't listen to me. No need to delete it, she said calmly. If Bella Vance wants the spotlight, let her have it. Preston Reed is no saint. Their daughter is this old. So why do you think they aren't married? A cold smile played on my wife's lips as she took out her phone, unlocked it, and began typing rapidly. I adjusted my smart glasses, switching apps. 2 minutes later, the video of me being humiliated at my wedding 7 years ago was trending. My wife was even thoughtful enough to blur my face, which somehow made it look even weirder. My cousin found out about the new trending topic and pulled his bride over to gossip. I was thinking $1 million was fine, but after seeing what these two have done, they should pay at least $2 million. His bride nodded in agreement. As long as it's not $250. My wife and I both looked away. My uncle only has one son. I can't hit him. Preston had been watching us and quickly realized what was happening. His eyes darkened as he glared at Bella. Then he interrupted us. $2 million. The police are waiting to leave. What happened today was our fault. Ms. Monroe, I'm asking you to be magnanimous and let us go. My wife gave my cousin a look, and he delightedly pulled up his bank account information. Fine. It's a happy day. I can't be bothered to argue with you. Preston Reed transferred the money through gritted teeth. As soon as he got the settlement agreement, he grabbed a shell-shocked Bella, picked up their daughter, and practically fled the venue. What a coward, my cousin scoffed, then instantly switched to a beaming smile for my wife. Sarah, please go have a seat. We saved you and Caleb the best spots. I rolled my eyes. He was a master of the quick change. When my wife wasn't here, he called me bro. When she arrived, I became brother-in-law. I know I'm not as formidable as my wife. You don't have to keep reminding me. The little hiccup at the wedding didn't seem to affect the newlyweds. Instead, the story of how I was scammed 7 years ago got dredged up all over again. My social life was dead again. My wife laughed all the way home and couldn't stop even after we got back. I pulled her onto the sofa with me, and I couldn't help but start laughing myself. Is it really that funny? You laughed about it for a whole year back then, and it still gets you now, I said. I never actually liked her, you know? I was always turning her down. I only put up with it because the salary you were paying me was so good. Thank goodness today was my cousin's wedding. Even if it stirred up some online chatter, it wouldn't be a huge deal. I'm not famous, but it was definitely annoying. I kissed my wife's cheek, got up, and grabbed a coconut water for her from the pantry. Bella's brand crashes and burns every time she launches it. Why doesn't she just give up? I'm used. It's fast money, and it's not illegal. She has experience, and she knows what audiences and netizens like to see. Of course she won't give up, my wife said. And think about it. The sole heir of the Sterling family. Even if the child wasn't yours, if she made a scene like that at your real wedding, what do you think your in-laws would think of you? My wife poked my forehead, laughing. She was after money. You were just a means to an end. I caught her hand and kissed the back of it, murmuring, is it really that great to keep bringing up the time I got scammed? It's not great, but it is funny, my wife said, laughing cheerfully. I sighed. Fine. If my wife likes to laugh, then let her laugh. About 2 weeks after the wedding, Preston Reed somehow got my number and asked to meet. He hadn't gone back to Newport Beach. Thinking of my wife's methods, I understood immediately. After Preston's dad was fired from Monroe Corp, he couldn't find another job for 6 years. Every business he tried to start went bankrupt. It was all my wife's doing. She didn't even have to lift a finger. There were plenty of people willing to curry favor with her. The meeting was at a Starbucks in the tech park. He arrived a few minutes before me. In just 2 weeks, Preston looked several years older. He had more gray hair than my dad. I averted my gaze and coolly pulled out a chair. What do you want? I don't think we have anything to talk about. We were never friends. When Bella started her diamond in a rough social media account, he had helped her scout potential candidates. It was our freshman year. I was wearing my old high school shorts, flip-flops, and a gray t-shirt. I looked poorer than everyone else. At least other people wore new clothes when they started college. Preston opened his mouth, then grit his teeth. Caleb, can you please claim Bella's daughter as your own? What the hell? I thought I must have misheard him. Was that something a human being could actually say? Do I really look that stupid, like I'd taken any piece of trash? I took several deep breaths to calm myself down before standing up, disgusted. I have my own child. Whoever the father is can claim her. If you ever bother me with this again, you can say goodbye to whatever assets you have left. My wife doesn't like seeing me upset. His train of thought must have derailed on its way here. Did he think he could test my wife's and my relationship by using a child? Who did he think he was? Furious, I walked out and immediately called my wife to complain. Preston Reed has lost his mind. He asked me to be a father to his daughter. You have to get him back for me. My wife laughed for a long time before answering. All right, I'll get him back for you. His dad managed to save up a nice nest egg at Monroe Corp, and he has a few properties in his name. I'll have them repossessed as a birthday present for you. I felt a sense of relief and couldn't help but smile. Thanks, honey. My wife worked fast. Within a week, Preston's villa in Newport Beach had a new owner, and the name on the deed was mine. Preston sent me a string of furious texts. Caleb Hayes, you damn freeloader. You just wait. Caleb asked Ms. Monroe to have mercy on me. I was just trying to get under your skin because I was bitter. I was wrong. Wrong is wrong. What does it have to do with me? It's not like I forced him to make a mistake. Mid-month, my wife went overseas for a business trip. I worked from home to spend time with our son. Bella, who had likely had a falling out with Preston, didn't return to Newport Beach. Instead, she and her daughter settled in Austin. She was still a content creator, but she was smarter this time. Knowing my wife wouldn't let her get famous, she hired a recent college graduate to be the face of a new account while she stayed behind the scenes as the planner and director. The young woman was also a social media enthusiast. She started an account called A Day in the Life of a Cutie, featuring Bella's daughter. It gained 100,000 followers in a month. Bella saw an opportunity and started pushing her daughter to appear in live streams for hours on end. When I heard about Bella from my cousin, I had a bad feeling. He also thought Bella staying in Austin was suspicious. Bro, do you think she's figured out you're not poor at all? And that kid, are you and Sarah 100% sure she isn't yours? What? This cousin of mine needs to be thrown out. I'm so tired. Whatever Bella's reason for staying in Austin, I wasn't going to let her disrupt my peaceful, happy life. That evening, after my mom and I gave my son a bath, I sat with him on a swinging chair outside the tea room and called my wife. She was also surprised to hear that Bella hadn't returned to Newport Beach. When I told her about the daughter being forced to live stream for hours every day, her tone turned icy. Her daughter's withdrawal symptoms were acquired, not congenital. Bella's actions border on abuse. I'll have my assistant contact the platform and get her account shut down. Calling the police won't do much. The harm isn't considered continuous. I looked down at the little boy in my arms, kissed his cheek, and sighed. The last trending topic didn't cause too much damage, but being targeted by her is still disgusting. Just focus on your work for now. If she doesn't cause any trouble, we'll leave her alone. Followers of The Day in the Life of a Cutie account had raised concerns about child abuse before, but after a few unsuccessful attempts to get a response, they stopped trying. It wasn't their kid, after all. I gently rocked my son until he fell asleep, then put him in his crib and picked up my tablet. Bella's newly popular account had been banned. She immediately sent me a message. Caleb Hayes, you kept man. Tell your wife to stop targeting me. If you push me too far, nobody gets a happy ending. The only one whose life was going down in flames was hers. A half-month later, my wife returned from her trip. My cousin's bad omen came true. Bella not only tried to follow me, but she also managed to sneak into the press conference for my company's new intelligent firefighting robot. The moment I saw her, I frowned instinctively and called over my assistant, Paul Harris, who drafted the guest list for the influencers. Didn't I say no unauthorized people were allowed in? I couldn't believe Bella was here just to switch content genres and start a new channel. She never did anything unless there was something in it for her. Bella saw me too. She looked me up and down, taking my t-shirt and shorts, and sneered. Caleb Hayes, what are you doing here? Another delivery gig? TSK, I knew Ms. Monroe didn't really care about you. I almost fell for your act at Mr. Sterling's wedding. After her triumphant taunt, she turned to Paul. Are you an executive at this company? Isn't it inappropriate to let a delivery guy into your press conference? Paul had a pained expression on his face. He stepped forward to block her view of me and deliberately raised his voice. Mr. Hayes, I will have the PR department verify the influencer list immediately. Anyone not on the list will be escorted out. I nodded and waved him off. Mr. Hayes. Bella's eyes widened, and she let out a scornful laugh. You're the CEO of IntelliStar Technologies? Does Ms. Monroe know you're putting on such a show? She's never taken you back to Newport Beach, has she? Everyone there says she married some poor nobody she's too embarrassed to show in public. Caleb Hayes, you're pathetic. You married a billionaire heiress, but you're still a poor schmuck, pretending to be the CEO of a tech company to feed your ego. Do you have any idea that IntelliStar is valued at nearly $10 billion? Keep pretending. Paul rubbed his eyes, then his ears pointing back and forth between Bella and me, completely baffled. I was equally speechless. Who made the rule that if you were poor in college, you had to be poor for life? The thing is, I wasn't even poor in college. The PR manager hurried over with the guest list. Mr. Hayes, I've checked the list. This Ms. Vance came in as a live stream assistant. The influencer who brought her in goes by the username A Single Star. I took the list, scanned it quickly, and said flatly, tell all the influencers that they're not to move around freely before the presentation begins. It slowly dawned on Bella that I really was the founder of IntelliStar Technologies. Her eyes went wide with shock. I couldn't be bothered with her anymore. I told Paul to get ready for the live demonstration of the robot's firefighting capabilities at the secure fire test facility. Caleb Hayes. Bella snapped out of her stupor and rushed after me. I didn't slow down. Have security stop her, I told Paul, annoyed. Today's live launch of the intelligent firefighting robot required a controlled burn and extinguishment demonstration in a secure, enclosed space. Our company's previous product, the intelligent logistics robot, was already in its third generation, with highly mature programming. The new firefighting robot came in 5 models: water-based, dry powder, carbon dioxide, foam, and clean agent. All 5 models were equipped with ports for external mechanical arms, could be fitted with up to 8 nozzles simultaneously, and could be deployed via drone. While extinguishing a fire, they could also transmit scan data on the fire's intensity and scope back to the control center. Today's launch was critical, with our primary target audience being major chemical plants. As security blocked Bella's path, she suddenly let out a cold laugh and shouted, "Caleb Hayes, Coco is your daughter. Have you forgotten that night we were together after your scholarship application was rejected?" I turned back, irritated, but the sight of my wife appearing with her bodyguards instantly calmed me down. The night my scholarship application was rejected, Bella had invited me to dinner and drinks. I'm a lightweight. I get dizzy after one drink. I can handle herbal tea, coconut water, milk, anything but alcohol. I had one sip of a cocktail and felt the room spin. Bella ended up taking me to a hotel. As it happened, Serafina was meeting a client at that same hotel. She saw my condition, realized something was wrong, and had her bodyguards knock Bella out and carry me away. She had Bella sent to Preston Reed's room. Their child was likely conceived that night. As for me, my wife had already entered the testing facility, her voice laced with frost. "Ms. Vance, 2 months ago you caused a scene at my cousin's wedding, where you admitted, in your own words, that the child has no relation to my husband. As for the night you mentioned, would you like me to play the hotel security footage right now? The court has already accepted the defamation case against your husband. Adding you to the lawsuit would just be a testament to your marital unity." I let out a breath and happily took my wife's hand. "Let's ask for a higher amount in damages. United in marriage, they can conquer anything. Since they both love to spread rumors and lies, we should help them fulfill their destiny." My wife chuckled. Bella's eyes were red, and she looked like a victim who had been bullied relentlessly. She stared at me. "Caleb Hayes, I'm asking you one last time. Are you sure you won't acknowledge your daughter?" My wife was so enraged, she strode forward and slapped her across the face. "Shut up. It seems I've been too merciful these past few years, allowing you 2 lowlifes to pop up now and then. That night, it was you who gave Preston the idea to lure me to the hotel under the guise of a client meeting, wasn't it? I didn't realize you were so deeply in love with him. Fine, I'll grant you your wish." The bodyguards threw Bella out. My wife shook her hand out and pulled out her phone to call her assistant. I rubbed her back, soothing her. "Don't be angry. Some people are like that. Give them an inch, and they'll take a mile." That night, after my wife took me away, we both woke up in a hospital the next day. Preston's father was fired from Monroe Corp around that same time. The old man had hatched a brilliant plan. Get Preston and my wife to sleep together, film it, and blackmail her into marrying him. He really rolled the dice on that one. My mother-in-law had made my father-in-law get a vasectomy the day after my wife was born. Bella didn't dare cause any more trouble. The moment Preston received the court summons, he contacted my wife and asked what it would take for her to let him go. My wife was lounging on a swinging chair on our patio, sipping a coconut water. "Bella feels insecure, doesn't she? You two should get a marriage license. You're childhood sweethearts, after all." I silently picked up the electric fly swatter and started zapping mosquitoes for her. Bella had another secret identity. She was my father-in-law's illegitimate daughter, the product of a relationship with a premarital ex-girlfriend. Preston had been trying to get rid of Bella for a long time, and now he had to marry her. One could only imagine how miserable the rest of his life would be. My wife is a legend. Preston seemed unwilling to accept the condition. After a long pause, he asked, "Can we negotiate a different term? I'm willing to pay. My dad left me 2 houses. Do you think I need money?" my wife asked before hanging up. I couldn't help it. I burst out laughing. "You goof," my wife said, taking the swatter from me and zapping a few more bugs. She finished her coconut water in one go and said seriously, "We're going back to Newport Beach for the holidays this year. My mom was organizing her properties recently and found the deeds to a few villas here in Austin. She wants to give them to you." I slapped a mosquito that flew by and shook my head firmly. "No more villas. The citronella plants are only so effective. We planted a whole circle of them, and I still have to use the swatter every summer." My wife threw herself into my arms, laughing uncontrollably. Preston considered his options for a week and finally decided to marry Bella. On the day they got their marriage license, I sent them a gift of my own. Back when Bella was scouting for poor students for her Diamond in the Rough project, I wasn't the only one she approached. The other guys, who were genuinely poor, were all doing reasonably well after graduation. One of them, Kevin Chong, had a major reversal of fortune. He ran into his father, who had been missing for 20 years, here in Austin. The moment they met, his father's amnesia cleared. The amnesiac old man had built a business empire in Austin and, most importantly, had never remarried. Bella often brought her daughter to Austin to meet with Kevin. Oh, and Kevin got married 2 years before I did. She was the other woman. The news of my cousin being found was never posted online, only announced in the local newspaper. My uncle's assets are so vast that once the heir was found, it had to be announced publicly after being reported to the ancestors. Bella found out through Kevin that I had become the sole heir of the wealthy Sterling family, and her ambition was rekindled. As for whose child her daughter really was, I couldn't say for sure. After sending the evidence to Preston, I blocked him. I blocked Bella's new account as well. On the 4th of July, my wife and I drove my parents up to the mountains with my uncle's family for a free-range chicken barbecue. My son caught a chicken and immediately tried to bite it, getting a mouthful of feathers. After I cleaned him up and brought him back, my wife was just getting off the phone, a strange expression on her face. "What's wrong? You look like you just swallowed a cockroach." I sat down next to her with our son and started rubbing her shoulders. My wife playfully pinched our son's cheek. Bella and Preston and her simp are all famous now. I can't believe she was someone's one that got away. What one that got away? My cousin bounded over like an excited husky with his bride in tow, plopped down next to us, and eagerly asked for gossip. "Those two who crashed my wedding? They're really famous now. Both of them are cheaters." My curiosity was piqued. I held my son with one arm and reached for my phone. "Hold him steady. I'll get it for you," my wife said, grabbing my phone, unlocking it, and opening the app so we could watch the drama unfold together. It was true what they say. The bolder you are, the bigger the payoff. After getting married, Preston and Bella had trouble finding work in Newport Beach, so they came back to Austin and even got jobs at Kevin Chang's company. Then, Preston set his sights on Kevin's wife. The wife was an only child whose parents were like mine. They owned buildings and ran a small business. So, he gave her the evidence that Bella was Kevin's mistress. The wife took the evidence, hired a lawyer, and filed for divorce, demanding a division of assets. Preston gave her another terrible idea. Becoming a widow was less costly than a divorce. The wife went straight to her father, who set up a trap that landed Preston, Bella, and Kevin in jail. "Brilliant," I said. "You really reap what you sow." After reading the AI summarized story, I turned and kissed my wife's cheek. I was so lucky I never accepted Bella's pursuit, and that I never liked her. Otherwise, I might have been an unwitting father and possibly a victim of a much darker plot. And I was lucky my wife didn't mind that I was slow when it came to matters of the heart. "We're good," my wife said, resting her head on my shoulder and pinching our son's cheek again. Our son giggled and drooled. I quickly grabbed his little towel and wiped his chin. "We would always be good."